You know what we should do? We should arrest people's mothers for giving birth to murderers.
I think you're onto something there.
I think that's a thing that we should do.
That's
the root.
That's the root of the problem.
You gotta go to the root.
This is why we do this.
If people would stop having children, then we would stop having murderers.
Everything fixed.
Maybe that's why they push abortion.
We just made the connection.
There it is.
You heard it here first. You heard it here
first. Figured it out.
Connected all the dots. We saw the dots 1, 2, 3, and we made a square.
You know, 3 dots is usually a
square. Yes.
Triangle.
Yep. And we made that square.
3 points.
Yep. Little slurpage there.
Channeling my inner mostly Canadian Crowder.
Is he mostly Canadian or half Canadian?
I don't know. He was born in Detroit, so close enough.
Mostly Canadian. Indeed. Well, it's been a week.
It's been a week.
Only 1 week.
Feels like more, but it's only been 1.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Texas freezes over.
Yeah.
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 Hell hath frozen over.
That's in Michigan.
Oh.
Yeah.
That freezes over every year then.
Yes. Yeah,
I thought it was in California. That's also frozen over, though, so that's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually a town in Africa called Hotter Than Hell.
Where it's always hotter than hell, Michigan?
Probably.
All right. Well.
Big gulps, huh?
A riveting start.
Well, see you later.
Welcome to the apple that is naked.
I'm sure that was much catchier in your head than
Nope, it was not.
Oh.
It came out as hideous as it felt in my head.
The inside voice is on the outside again.
But I was committed. I followed through. And that's what matters.
Sometimes that's all you can do. Just go white knuckle on the grip and just
hold on. Be amazed where that can get you in life. Nowhere. It can get you nowhere real fast.
I can get you places.
Yeah, it can get you nowhere.
Nowhere's a place.
Yep.
All right. Well, we got a lot of stuff to go over today.
We do, but as usual, we won't cover it all because that's what happens. But we need to start off as we usually do with some vitamins.
Yes. Well, let's get some vitamin B going. I think it's a good idea.
Vitamin.
Wow. Somebody's been messing with the board a little. Our
Probably
volume stuff was like all over the place.
Probably the person that sits there all the time.
No, it was not me. I swear.
Oh.
I mean, I can't imagine why I would have myself at half and you at 3/4.
I'm soft-spoken.
You're not that soft-spoken.
No, especially when a bunch of hippos are running the country.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that.
Hypocrites.
Hippocrates?
Hippocrates, is that you?
Is that you?
It's been 5-10 minutes.
All right, let's get some vitamin B going.
Please.
Welcome to your daily dose of vitamin B.
Ooh.
I am your news anchor, Ecom.
Ecom.
Yep, that's my name.
All right.
Yeah, moving forward. Your political news for the week. Democrats vow to follow the science of whichever union donates the most money.
As they should.
As they should. And along those same lines, Dr. Fauci takes group of school children hostage, demands stimulus bill as ransom. These articles are not as funny as they usually are. They're
That's
a little bit,
that's basically
little bit
what
too
he's
real.
doing. Wait, this is supposed to be vitamin B, not vitamin Z.
Yeah. In your entertainment news, Biden lost another game of Mario Kart after trying to sniff Peach's hair for the whole race.
That's just a sad story.
in popular news today, people who moved to Texas from California finally feeling at home now that the power is out.
It's about time that Texas welcomed them with open arms.
It is about time.
The Texas
and
way.
along those same lines, Texans have been forced to cut open cattle with lightsabers and climb inside them for warmth.
And they mocked them for having the long horns.
Right. Finally, but
And you thought their
most
cow
definitely
patties
not
smelled bad.
the least. Let's see. Actually, we got two more.
Oh, two more.
And both of these go hand in hand. The first, Trump is now the most acquitted president in history.
Truth.
Second, Americans call for more Trump impeachment trials as long as it keeps Congress occupied.
I mean,
It is the best multi-million dollars we've spent in Congress.
they're going to just burn money. Might as well have them burn it in ways that doesn't burn us.
I mean, they could go burn it in Texas so that the people there would have some warmth.
Hey, but I'm tis.
And this has been your Vitamin B.
Da, da, da.
Oh, that one's bad. I missed that one.
Oh.
It was on the next page.
Oh.
Disney announces Cara Dune will now be played by Amy Schumer.
Ooh.
That hurt my soul.
That's why it's vitamin B, not arsenic. Vitamin arsenic.
Whatever that was.
That was.
Vitamin B, not whatever that was.
You just gestured toward all of it.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious. So in our stuff, we have links to all of the to some of the impeachment stuff, but I don't care because, like we said at the beginning,
There's only one thing I care about with the
The,
impeachment stuff.
the attorney.
Well, I mean, that was just fun.
That was the.
But
cherry on
what he was talking about is the only thing I really care about.
right, and that's so the biggest takeaway, in my opinion, that you need from the impeachment is, the prosecution took, was it 14 hours to present their case?
Something like that.
The defense took 2.5 hours to completely dismember their case.
Well, I mean, it's not hard to do with power tools.
You mean paint?
Oh, any of them.
Photo editor?
Well, you said dismembering, so my mind went to power tools. I don't know why.
That's for the podcast that you haven't started yet.
Oh, my bad.
No, they so biggest takeaways is the press.
Stop it. Get some help.
Yes. The prosecution decided it would be a good idea to not only, I knew they would do this, heavily edit Trump's speech.
Oh, so heavily.
Much like they did with the Charlottesville thing. And they even showed a heavily edited Charlottesville speech from Donald Trump, both of which, if you actually listen to the entire speech, especially the part right after they cut out, you'll hear him say the exact opposite of what they're trying to say that he said. And the defense pointed that out by playing them side by side and showing where the cut happened and continuing to play it past the cut. So you could hear Trump say, peacefully and patriotically march to the Capitol. And in the Charlottesville, that he condemns white nationalists, racism, all that stuff. Holy. And then on top of that, the cream on top for the defense was the tweet that they tried to share from some lady that said something about Calvary, like
the hill that
Christ
was crucified
on Calvary.
Calvary.
And the prosecution, not only did they not understand Calvary versus cavalry, which is horseback.
The best part of it is that they edited the tweet.
Right.
But all they edited was the check mark. They didn't actually edit the word to make it what they read.
They edited the check mark. They edited the date of the tweet.
Oh, was that the same tweet? I thought those were two separate tweets. To make it a year before?
They edited it so it looked like it was in leading up to this thing, but it was actually not at all related to January 6th.
Because the one that I'm talking about, they edited the date from 2021 to 2020. So instead of being January 2021, It was January 2020. So it was
maybe
a year
that's what it was. But
before.
Still, so they edited two tweets. But then they had that on display, and the prosecution's talking about you got these Trump supporters saying they're going to bring in the cavalry, while Calvary is displayed on the screen. Yeah. But in the end, the biggest takeaway for me is when the prosecution says we want to submit this phone call between Donald Trump and whatever representative. We want to call him as a witness. And the defense said, well, if you're calling witnesses, I've got 100 witnesses we need to call, starting with Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris. And the prosecution then says, you know what? We don't need to do witnesses. That should tell you everything you need to know. Because if the witness you had was so damning as a prosecution, wouldn't you want that submitted on the record no matter what, if you know your case is open and shut, as they claimed it was for 14 hours?
Yeah.
But then the defense says, yeah, we've got 100 witnesses, starting with the leadership of the party that the current president belongs to. Actually, we don't need witnesses. Oh, okay, so you have nothing. Cool. The defense rests. That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
And the cherry on top was what's his name? Michael Vanderveen. That's just rude, whoever named him. Michael Vanderveen. Was on CBSN talking about the trial, and it got a little testy because he called them out on their BS.
It's a good video.
It's a solid one. So here you go.
What happened at the Capitol on January 6th is absolutely horrific.
Yes.
But what happened at the Capitol during this trial was not too far away from that.
Also
the prosecutors in this case doctored evidence.
Yep.
They did not investigate this case, and when they had to come to the court of the Senate to put their case on, because they hadn't done any investigation, they doctored evidence. It was absolutely shocking. I think when we discovered it and we were able to expose it and put it out, I think it turned a lot of senators. The American people should not be putting up with this.
It's true.
They need to look at who these House managers were and look to see whether these are the folks they want.
Whether they want to represent him. He is absolutely correct. And it was really easy to find all the evidence the prosecution was presenting on CNN and blah, blah, blah. But the defense, it was only 2.5 hours that the defense used, really. I think 3 maybe, but still. And you don't really see a whole lot of coverage on mainstream media from the defense. I wonder why. And here
Representing
he goes
them. It was absolutely, it was shocking to me. Wouldn't have believed it.
Let's follow up with a point that you're making right now about the House managers, as you say, doctoring evidence, and the argument.
They didn't deny it.
Viewers,
they didn't deny it. I put it in front of them 3 times.
To be clear for our viewers, what you're talking about now is a check mark that's a verification on Twitter that did not exist on that particular tweet, a 2020 that should have actually read 2021, and the selective editing, you say, of the tapes. Is that how? Is that the doctored evidence of which you're speaking?
That's not enough for you?
Oh, he's lost
That's
his...
not enough.
He's right. Is that all?
Wait, no,
Sir,
no.
I'm trying.
Listen,
I am not a juror in this trial. What I'm
Yeah,
trying
you're
to
a
clear
journalist.
for our viewers is what
Wipe that smug smile off your face, lady. You're a journalist.
Granted, at least she mentioned the things that he's actually talking about, you know,
Right.
at least some of them, because you can't find these things anywhere. In mainstream media, they don't exist. I'm still trying to find which tweet was altered from 2021 to 2020. I can't find it. I found the other tweet 5 times.
The cavalry one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But its date is not altered, at least in the stuff that I found. I cannot find, and I know I've seen it before, but I don't remember what it said.
It might not have been one they actually used. It's the photo op they did.
Was that what it was?
Yes, I think that's what it was. It was the photo op of working so hard, and they show the tweets side by side on the whatever his name is.
So I found one that has the 2 tweets side by side that both of them have, or the one has the check mark and the one doesn't.
Right.
But that one doesn't have the altered date.
Oh, I don't know that.
So that's what I'm trying to find, the one that has the altered date, because I've heard about it. I know I've seen it before, but I can't find any pictures or anything of that actual thing. I know it happened.
Yeah, I saw,
but I can't find it anywhere.
I saw it on Sunday, but
right?
Why should I save it for links or anything like that?
Because who knows what's going to be hard to find in the next week.
Yeah.
Is what you're referring to, because not everybody has been following.
It's not okay
not everybody,
to doctor
sir,
a little bit of evidence.
Respectfully. I have not said it is. I have not said it is okay.
Ma'am, your question is
I want to be clear for our viewers.
Listen, what
I want
has
to be
to
clear
happen
for our
is
viewers about
the
what
media
exactly you're
has to
saying when you
start-
say doctored evidence.
The media has to start telling the right story in this country.
Yes.
The media is trying to divide this country.
Yes.
You are bloodthirsty for ratings.
Yep.
And as such, you're asking questions now that are already set up with a fact pattern. I can't believe you would ask me a question indicating that it's all right just to doctor a little bit of evidence. There's more stuff that we uncovered that they doctored, to be frank with you. And perhaps that will come out one day. But we won this case, and I'm not a sore loser, but what happened, or a sore winner, I should say, but what should happen is somebody should look at the conduct of these House managers. It's unconscionable,
Yep.
aside from all of the due process violations that my client had. And the media should be looking at a square, straight way. The straight way. When I watch the news, I watch one station and it's raining. I watch another station at the same time and it's sunny. Your coverage is so slanted, it's got to stop. you guys have to stop and start reporting more like PBS does, rather than
You lost me there.
TV news show that doesn't have any journalistic integrity at all. What I'm telling you is that they
PBS
doctored
is the
evidence.
example of journalistic
And
integrity,
I believe your
apparently.
question says, well, it's only a
Lord
Twitter
help us
check
all.
and changing a year of a date here. They switched the date of a Twitter a year to try to connect it to this case. That's not a small thing, ma'am. The other thing they did is they put a check mark on something to make it look like it was a validated account when it wasn't. And when they were caught, they didn't say anything about it. They didn't even try to come up with an excuse about it. And that's not the way our prosecutors or our government officials should be conducting themselves. And the media shouldn't be letting them get away with it either. I'm tired of the biased media on both sides, left and right.
Thank you,
what
sir.
this country wants, what this country needs, is this country to come together, to take the left and the right and find a middle ground and start responsibly being our public officials, our elected officials. And one of the reasons why they do it is because of the media.
Yep.
Because the media wants to tell their narrative rather than just telling it like it is. And frankly, I'm tired of it. I'm not a media, I'm not in front of your cameras all the time, but what I've been subjected to this last week.
I understand, and I've given you the
don't want to hear
opportunity.
the truth. Yeah. Okay.
I've given you the opportunity. I will remind you that what I said was that for our viewers who have not
heard
been
what you
following
said.
all of the hours of this trial, to be
Have
clear
they?
about what you are speaking about. And I understand
I'm speaking
that you
about
seem
the House
very
manager's
upset.
failure to prove their case. That's what I'm telling
And
you. They
you have
weren't able
won
to prove their
the
case.
acquittal. You have won the acquittal of your client.
Yes,
and if
I
you'd like
did.
to continue to talk about this conversation, we can have that discussion.
need
but,
to.
But for me to ask a
a slanted question that was set up to say it's okay for them to cheat. That was your question. Isn't it
I didn't
okay
say
for
that.
them to cheat?
I didn't
it's
say
just
that.
a little bit.
It's what you were leading with, lady.
You
No.
said to be fair.
The way in which she
The
was
way you
asking.
worded
I
it. Yep,
understand
it was the
you're
way you
right.
That's
worded
what
it.
you said. You got to live by your words.
I-
That's the problem. The media has to start living.
She has nothing because she knows
Yeah.
that he called her out.
And not try
All
to
right.
create a narrative.
Michael Vanderveen,
Yeah.
thank you
Yep.
for
Yep.
joining us. I do appreciate.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just throws the mic.
That was President Trump's defense attorney, Michael.
I mean, he was a little harsh, but at the same time, like, how many interviews has he done where they've done that bullshit to him?
Oh, yeah.
You know, since he took this
And
case.
even just watching while he's sitting there waiting to present his case, he's seeing the news cover the prosecution and not calling them out on it. Mm-hmm. And so he calls her out on asking a question that starts leading into a loaded question of, it's just, a check mark.
this is just a check mark. And to clarify for our viewers, what you're referring to is just a check mark. And
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that just.
so I have the actual tweets here. So the tweets that they changed to be verified, and this is the really stupid thing, is a check mark, no check mark, it really doesn't matter.
No.
At all.
No.
The tweet itself doesn't say anything. It's completely idiotic that they even use this because it literally just shows that people were going to the Trump rally. Like, well, duh. Okay, so
See, look, people were organizing.
The only thing that would make this seem at all sinister is the change that they made in speaking when they read it. They didn't even actually alter the tweet itself to say what they read out loud.
Right.
So either they are completely idiotic and just didn't read the tweet,
Yes.
or like they don't actually know what cavalry is and
Yes.
they think that she mistyped it.
Yes.
To
all.
all the things. So there's two tweets. There's two of them that they changed with verified check marks. This lady, Jennifer Lynn Lawrence, has never been a verified Twitter user. And these are her 2 tweets. One at 10 something in the morning. I can't see because the PBS thing is in the way. 10:15. 10:15 in the morning. The next one at 11:32, so an hour and 15 minutes later. The first one, we have been marching all around the country for you, Mr. President. Now we will bring it to D.C. on January 6th and proudly stand beside you. Thank you for fighting for us. And that part, the now we will bring it, that part's highlighted.
Oh, so that's the damning evidence.
So then the next tweet is the one an hour and 15 minutes later, says, best day ever. Thank you at Real Donald Trump for the retweet. It has been an honor to stand up and fight for you and our nation. We will be standing strong on January 6th in D.C. with you. And this part is highlighted. We are bringing the cavalry, Mr. President.
Yep. Bring in those horses.
And even, no, this is cavalry, not cavalry, cavalry.
I heard the same thing. Horses.
No.
It just depends on if you're East Coast,
No,
West
no,
Coast
it's-
kind of thing.
It's not like that at all, actually. But I mean, even if it was the cavalry, like, I mean, that's like a phrase that people say that kind of crap all the time. Like, that doesn't mean that they're inciting violence. Like,
So you're saying you could find examples of other politicians saying things like that?
oh yes, I can find examples of everyday people saying crap like that all the
Oh.
time.
Pish posh.
I
This
believe
guy.
numerous times throughout my life, somebody has shown up to help with other people and said, I brought the cavalry. I mean, they weren't storming my house or trying to burn my crap to the ground or anything like that. They were showing up to help me, like, do remodels and stuff. So,
Violently.
no, not violently, peacefully.
Oh.
So, regardless, though, she didn't say cavalry. She said calvary, which is completely different. And the fact that they
versus CAV.
the fact that they even submitted this as evidence is retarded. Oh, sorry. No, I'm not.
Are you retarded?
But then the fact that they felt that it was better because they went in and edited a little check mark to make it seem more legit.
See, a validated person. Someone went through the trouble to confirm that they are them to Twitter. Therefore, this means something.
You know, what could possibly make this any better? I mean, we have this lady saying she's going to bring the cavalry. I mean, she spelled it wrong, but
weird
whatever.
that she spelled
It's
it
weird
wrong
that
and
she spelled it
capitalized
wrong.
it.
But what could we do to make this more legit? I know. She doesn't have a blue check mark. Let's add a blue check mark.
Well, they
It's
were
a great idea.
probably just taking a page from Obama's playbook and having Comey lie to get FISA court details. But whatever.
Like, seriously though, this is insane. Like, this is evidence that they put forward. Like this is the thing that kills me about the impeachment is I like everything that I've seen from them. I'm like, that would never be admissible in an actual court of law.
Right. So,
Like, absolutely not.
so one thing that's unique about an impeachment is it's not as evidence and stuff submitted is not as binding as a normal trial would be. Especially in this case because there was no Supreme Court justice and it's a private citizen.
Well, and the fun thing
And the jury is also the victim. So
is also the witnesses, is also in one case the judge is also
right. So it doesn't work.
judge, jury, and witness.
Yeah.
All of the above. But and the other thing that killed me about it is, so they're like, okay, we won't do witnesses, but we're going to do documents. So we have these testimonials. Okay, they're not signed affidavits.
Uh-huh.
They have no legal binding
Yeah.
at all. So literally, the people that wrote them could be lying their asses off with zero legal repercussions.
As we saw Ocasio-Cortez happily do on her little Instagram thing the other week, a couple weeks ago, that we called her out for.
Yeah.
And that was part of the defense's thing was, if you're calling witnesses, then we've got 100 witnesses, and they're testifying in person.
It was more than that. There was 320 total, I believe.
Right. But he just started with, if you're calling one, we're calling 100.
Yeah.
And he said, none of this Zoom call stuff, it's in-person witness.
In person.
Yeah, and one thing, I looked at the rules in the Senate for all this. If a witness is called during the actual trial, they actually have to swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Mm-hmm. Which, again, is why I say that should be your biggest takeaway, is the call for witnesses. That should be your biggest takeaway for the whole thing. Because there's thousands of witnesses they could pick from. The defense, or the prosecution.
Either or.
Yeah.
They both get witnesses.
Yeah,
if
they both get witnesses. But still, the prosecution that has supposedly this open and closed case that they lost horribly, they could have picked any of those thousands of people that were there, people that were arrested, the FBI, Capitol Police, except the
I object
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
because it's devastating to my case.
yeah, because
Good call.
the issue was the defense was going to call the Capitol Police and the FBI as witnesses to find out when they knew and who they told. Mm-hmm. Which is also why they wanted to call Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris and other leaders to find out what they knew and when they were told. On record.
Yeah.
But we can't have
Trying to
that.
screw me.
Well, of course they're trying to screw you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 Great.
That's
Great.
that. That's it.
Okay, that's all we had on that one.
That's all we had. That's more than I wanted to talk about with it, but that's all we got.
It's been frustrating me all week. It's fine.
It's so annoying. Because in the background, there's all this other stuff that actually matters.
Yeah, it's true. But the thing that's been annoying me about it.
And also they're arguing, bickering over all this stuff, spending, what was it, $33 million on this?
Right.
If only there was a better use for $33 million right now in the country, but, whatever, you'll get your $2,000
There's no
check
better
eventually.
use. What? No better use of that much many millions of dollars.
No.
That much many. Wow.
That much, many more times.
I can English good.
Real good. So in the background of all this, so at the beginning of one of the first things Joe Biden did was sign the executive order that stopped the Keystone Pipeline because,
Oh, this is fun.
environment. Well, he also, because he's now in office, Russia has said, well, we're going to start work on our pipeline that Trump sanctions blocked us from doing. And the Biden administration's just kind of with it. So Russia can put their pipe in place to make Europe more dependent on Russian oil and natural gas. But
So I don't hate Biden because he's a Democrat. I hate Biden because he is pro everybody but America.
no, he's pro himself.
Like I said.
Yeah, he's pro himself. If it benefits him or his family, then he's fine with it. And if that wasn't enough, let's see. The government has apparently brokered a meeting between the Turkmenistan government and the Taliban for a trans-Afghanistan pipeline to bring Turkmen gas across Afghanistan and Pakistan to India.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
But, I'm sure it'll be stopped because the environment or something.
The same deal that they sought to make with the Taliban in the years before September 11th.
Huh.
Shh. Do you hear that? That's the sound of forgiveness.
That's the sound of people drowning, Carl.
That is what forgiveness sounds like. Screaming and then silence.
Yep. And related to that, Texas is freezing because a freak winter storm has hit them and apparently will continue to hit them the rest of the week.
But it's okay because Congress is shipping loads of money to Texas to burn.
Oh, no.
No.
No,
they're not.
They're fresh out of money to burn.
Fresh out of money to burn.
They just spent it on a sham impeachment trial. Yeah. And
yeah, it's great. This is great.
It's terrible that, all these people are freezing inside of their houses because there's not only is there no electricity, but there's no water because their water treatment stuff is breaking from the freezing.
And nobody can make it to the treatment centers to fix it.
Yeah, and the actual reliable power, such as coal and gas, they can't make it to those to keep those running.
Well, I mean, they started shutting those down because they were switching to renewable resources. So,
Except half of their windmills are frozen.
Oh, wait! Didn't Governor Abbott just win an award for
That's what I
switching
was
to
looking up.
renewable energies last week? Oh, it's
Let's see.
funny
Let's see
because
if
it's
I
so
can-
sad.
Let's see if I can find it.
What does this button do?
Yep. I found it.
Oh, you found it.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott receives Tri Global Energy's Wind Leadership Award
That's what it was.
because he's got so much wind.
He's just full of wind.
And now half of that wind is gone. And what's funny is, well, not funny. None of this is funny, but wind energy, they say it outputs whatever. This is how much energy it makes. That's how much energy it makes if the wind is blowing the hardest the windmills, the wind turbines can handle consistently through the day. At any given time, most days of the year are not windy, especially that windy. Oh, and if it gets too windy, the windmills have to stop because they'll break if they spin too fast. Yeah. But it's okay. They have some solar that they can back that up with, which is covered in snow and it's overcast. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go green. Go green. Go green.
So, if I remember, I'm trying to find the actual thing, and if I find it, I'll have to get the link for it. But I believe it was Germany that was talking about their renewable energy and whatnot, and they were like, the director guy that was doing the interview said that they only actually can produce, or they only actually produce between 0 and 3%, with the norm being closer to 0 with their wind, despite how much money they've poured into the renewable resource.
Huh. Doesn't seem like it's a very renewable resource if you can't even use it.
Which is why they are currently trying to switch out.
Oh, to
of
something
renewable
like coal and natural gas,
Yeah.
which is something that would be supplied.
Or to nuclear energy.
Yeah, which
I think is the way, is it France?
Yes. France
That went
is
that direction?
France is nuclear.
Yep.
But yeah,
because France produces twice the amount of energy as Germany does at half the cost.
Yeah, we know.
With 0 carbon emissions. Just saying. I mean,
yeah, and Germany, if they build natural gas power plants, they would need the pipeline that's being built by Russia to get natural gas from Russia. Mm-hmm. And nuclear power might even come from Russia as well, because they like to dabble with the uraniums and stuff. They do.
You know, which brings me to the other point. I mean, why is Texas struggling for energy? They have the biggest nuclear power plant on American soil.
But it's closed.
Oh. Why?
Well, for green energy, for carbon neutral energy.
But nuclear power plants produce zero carbon.
Have you seen all the smoke that comes out of that giant smoke tower that they have?
It's the word you're looking for is steam. No, steam.
You're saying smoke
nuclear
very
fission
weirdly.
Produces hydrogen, which turns into water, which makes steam. So it's water.
Smoke.
It's water vapor.
Oh.
No, water vapor. It's
Oh.
water vapor.
Oh. Well, but it could melt down and cause a nuclear explosion.
It's happened twice.
Except that even it hasn't, because a meltdown doesn't cause nuclear explosions.
Yeah, that's true.
But it just gets really hot.
Meltdowns have happened twice.
Yeah.
The third one that everybody talks about, Fukushima, actually wasn't a meltdown. It was a tsunami. That doesn't really count.
A meltdown is the least of your concerns at that point. Because one thing that happens...
Got hit by a tsunami. It's what happens after that is kind of a moot point.
Well, that and they kind of use water to cool down and absorb nuclear radiation anyway. So if the power plant is suddenly flooded by a lot of water, not really going to have much of an issue.
Yeah. Though Fukushima actually ended up being a big disaster, but that was because of the tsunami, not because of the actual reactor.
It's because an act of God said nope to this place in particular.
This entire general region, no. Those times when On High decides to shake the Etch-a-Sketch are outside of our
Let's
control.
just redo this a little bit. Turn that into a staircase.
I raised your civilization, spelled with a Z, and
And then Chernobyl, if you can trust the, was it Soviet then? It was then Soviet, right? Mm-hmm. If you can trust the then Soviet government and what they reported, it's still most people that died from the evacuation, not from the actual meltdown. Mm-hmm. And turns out nature has reclaimed the place rather well, to the point where there's a fungus that's actually eating the radiation and uranium.
there are actually people that live there.
Yeah.
Still. And refuse to move because they love it there. So.
Nobody really bothers you. You get used to the third eye. It's fine. Then
the massive wolves and
what was the other one? The Long Island or something like that in the U.S.?
I believe it was Long Island, yes.
There were a couple people that got high doses of radiation, and that was it. Probably cancer.
Let's see.
In other news behind the scenes, go. This mouse drives me crazy. Mouse.
So, the worst nuclear and radiation accident to date is Chernobyl.
Uh-huh.
That is pretty much all that this says. It killed 31 people and did approximately $7 billion in property damage. And eventually, the WHO thinks there may be up to 4,000 cancer deaths related to it.
The same WHO that went to investigate China, specifically Wuhan, to get to the root of the virus. What was it? Oh, they went to Wuhan because they're trying to get to the root, the case zero for coronavirus. Basically, find out where it all started. They came back saying it didn't start in Wuhan. Yeah. We studied it out. Oh, you did? What data do you have? Well, China didn't want to give us any data, but we know it didn't start in Wuhan.
Yeah, right.
Wait, what? Sellouts.
From what I see here, there are actually several accidents dating back to 57, which is that earliest one in 57 being the Kishtim disaster in the Soviet Union, which killed an estimated 200 people with cancer. But of all of these accidents, the majority of them are small explosions that actually have nothing to do with nuclear. It's like steam explosions in different like furnaces and stuff like that. They had an explosion in a metallic waste furnace. Fukushima was, of course, a tsunami. One man died.
From an entire tsunami, one person died? Or one person died directly related to Fukushima?
One person died directly related to the flooding of the reactor. 3+ people died in labor accidents. And then there were some illnesses, no actual number given, that were caused by the water contaminated by the reactor in the tsunami. The grand majority of these have 0 fatalities. And, fun fact, nuclear energy has less deaths per kilowatt hour than any other form of energy we use.
Huh. Anyway. Also going on in the background, Valentine's Day happened, and that's the 3-year anniversary of the Parkland shooting. So naturally, on the heels of us telling you about a House bill that would severely restrict your gun rights, President Biden thought it'd be prudent to write a letter or statement about Parkland.
The United States one that we were thinking of was 3 Mile Island.
3 Mile Island, that's what it was.
Which also had 0 deaths.
All of 0. Let's see. There's something I found super offensive in here besides all of it.
Was it the White House? Because, I mean, that's kind of racist. Why isn't
it's
why
right
is
here.
it white?
For 3 years now, the Parkland families have spent birthdays and holidays without their loved ones. Huh. There's an entire country that had to spend birthdays and holidays without their loved ones last year alone. But I digress. They've witnessed...
My dad died from cancer when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
Shit happens.
Yeah. Yeah, but he wasn't brutally murdered by things that we can just get rid of.
Right, because things kill people.
Yes, things. Yeah. They've missed out on the experience of sending their children off to college. None of that happened last year. Or seeing them on their first job after high school. None of that happened last year. Like far too many families, they've had to bury pieces of their soul deep within the earth. Like far too many families, and indeed like our nation, they've been left to wonder whether things would ever be okay. That is last year he's describing.
Huh. Yeah.
So
like all of last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. People are dying, bury piles of bodies in the streets. Something about that. Something about race pandering. There it is. Black and brown individuals. Down here. This administration will not wait for the next mass shooting to heed that call. We will take action to end our epidemic of gun violence and make our schools and communities safer. Today, I am calling on Congress to enact common sense gun law reforms, including requiring background checks, already a thing, on all gun sales, banning assault weapons, already did that, it did not work, and high-capacity magazines, already did that, did not work, and eliminating immunity for gun manufacturers who knowingly put weapons of war on our streets. We owe it to all those we've lost and all those left behind to grieve to make a change. The time to act is now. This isn't dangerous at all. Eliminating immunity for gun manufacturers who knowingly put weapons of war on our streets. So, Ruger or whoever can be sued by someone who is shot by one of their firearms.
Wait, so
if that's the case, at what point are we going to hold Budweiser accountable for
drunk drivers?
At what point are we going to hold Ford accountable for drunk drivers?
I mean, well, right now, obviously.
Right now, except for
I mean, when are you going to start blaming kitchen knife manufacturers for stabbings?
Yeah,
Do you hold them accountable?
At what point are you going to sue medication?
You know what we should do? We should arrest people's mothers for giving birth to murderers.
I think you're onto something there.
I think that's a thing that we
root.
should do. That's the root.
That's the root of the problem.
You gotta go to the root.
This is why we do this.
If people would stop having children, then we would stop having murderers.
Everything fixed.
Maybe that's why they push abortion.
We just made the connection.
There it is.
You heard it here first. You heard it here
Figured
first.
it out.
Connected all the dots. We saw the dots 1, 2, 3, and we made a square.
You know, 3 dots is usually a
square. Yes.
Triangle.
Yep. And we made that square.
3 points.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
I believe my point has been made. Because that's what they do. They connect 2 dots like, hey, this manufacturer made this firearm that this person improperly used against the things that the manufacturer says you're supposed to use it for. Let's sue the manufacturer. That's 3 dots making a square, sir. The defense rests. Yeah. But luckily, it's just Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi.
But wait, there's more.
3 years ago, our nation watched in horror and heartbreak as 17 beautiful souls were stolen in an act of unspeakable terror and gun violence at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. That's way too long of a name for a high school. Today, we continue to grieve and work with Parkland families and survivors who have turned their pain into courageous action, inspiring a movement across the country to say enough is enough.
By selling pillows. And not just any pillows.
Activist pillows.
Good pillows.
Yeah.
Because nothing tells you it is a fantastic product like adding the word good at the beginning.
Uh-huh. What about better?
What about best?
Last Congress, moved by the daily epidemic of gun violence.
Daily epidemic?
Huh?
Huh?
Huh? Huh? What are you saying? And guided by the millions of young people marching for their lives, House Democrats took bold action to save lives and end the bloodshed by passing H.R. 8, the Bipartisan Background Checks Act, which did nothing.
Yeah, it still does nothing.
And H.R. 1112, that's gross.
Which also did nothing because they
the Enhanced Background
the first
Checks
one.
Act. Yeah, it reinforced the first one, which just said exactly the same thing that's already being done.
Mm-hmm.
Now working with, it was, the only difference was this was filled with pork for something, and this was filled with pork with something. I don't know what
Something
it was,
else.
but that's just how Congress works.
Yeah.
Now working with the Democrat Senate and Biden-Harris administration, we will enact these and other life-saving bills and deliver the progress that the Parkland community and the American people deserve and demand.
So go buy a gun and then go boating.
Everyone will. On this solemn remembrance, Democrats
this is what
join
I'm
the
getting from
American
this.
people to renew our commitment to our unfinished work to ensure that no family or community is forced to endure the pain of gun violence. We will not rest until all Americans in schools, in the workplace, in places of worship, and throughout our communities are safe once and for all. All right. So people that do the violence, do they fear the law?
My guess would be not, because it's already illegal to kill someone.
All right. Do they fear the cops? that
My
enforce
guess
the
is
law?
not, because they already are going
Do they fear prison?
as far as to kill someone. So, law, don't kill people. Regardless of tool used, killing people. Fear, not so much involved there.
All right. Do they fear their victims?
Possibly.
I would argue they do not. Because if they actually feared their victims, they wouldn't try to shoot them, because their victims would have something on their person, perhaps, that would thwart them from being able to follow through with whatever it is that is insane that made them hate their victim.
Well, I mean, you could also argue that most violence is a lashing out from fear. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's
Star Wars reference.
It's science.
Science.
Yeah.
Stop it. Get some help.
Stop it.
Derailed.
No, I'm just trying to find the
Oh my gosh, really? That's amazing. I just found an article, the headline of this article from CBS Miami. The pillow fight just got very real.
all right then.
Talking about David Hogg starting his good pillow to go against the My Pillow.
Yeah, that'll sell real well, I'm sure. I've got a headline for you related to what we're talking about.
That's funny.
A Broward County school board member. Broward County is where Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School is located.
It really is a terrible name. It's far too long.
There's currently a court case going on surrounding all of this. This school board member, Nora Rupert, admitted that she was intimidated into covering up safety failures that contributed to the massacre. Now, I remember at the time, it was mostly conservative-leaning media, pointed out that there was a lot of stuff leading up to this that didn't make sense, like officers involved that should not have been at the school because they weren't doing their job, the school officer. And the guy that did the actual shooting should not have been in school and most likely should have been in prison because he was doing all kinds of things with firearms beforehand, breaking the law. I believe he held his mom at gunpoint for a bit, if I remember correctly. All kinds of things. Yeah. All kinds of things. And he just got some slaps on the wrist. You're just a silly boy.
Funny, because I feel like that's a running theme among most active shooters.
Huh. But yeah, she, let's
ban bump stocks because That's the thing that kills people.
Yeah. But she goes on to talk about the superintendent, specifically Robert Runcie, and how corrupt he is. And as superintendent, Runcie convinced the Broward County taxpayers to fund an $800 million bond initiative called Safety, Music, Renovation, and Technology, or SMART. According to Florida Tax Watch, in the first 4 years of the SMART bond's existence, the district only spent 5% of the money on safety projects, which was far below what the district was claiming to be spending.
Can we just not with the dumbass acronyms? Like, seriously?
Yeah. If it's a bond, vote no. If it's a bond with an acronym, you vote no as hard as you can.
The correct vote is hell no.
There needs to be a third option.
The hell no counts as 2 no's. Oof.
In a 2019 deposition obtained by the Daily Wire, Rupert admitted that Preston's report was correct and that the corruption led to delayed safety measures that could have saved lives. So why are we suing the gun manufacturer again? I saw a thing that said everyone that's involved in a school shooting should sue the school for having the no firearms allowed signs. You'll see those signs disappear real quick.
Yeah. Well, you can carry in Utah schools as long as you don't let it off your person.
Yep. Should we go to Burgess?
Sure. I like Burgess. He's a good dude.
He's a good dude.
He's a good dude.
Right. He's all right.
And it's a little bit of happy news.
Yeah.
Mostly just because Burgess is hilarious. I still can't believe. Oh my gosh, this person that he's tweeting back at just. Did you know who you were talking to?
I know. So what happened is Burgess Owens tweeted out. Where he made a statement, I don't know. But he said, we have guys talking about the NFL, we have guys making $50 million today who will not stand for the flag because they've been taught by their adults not to love our nation. Oh, it was during a House Judiciary Committee session. And this reporter for the Salt Lake Tribune wrote an article, Burgess Owens misunderstands American athletes who seek a better America.
Salt Lake Trib. Of course it came from the Salt Lake Trib.
And Burgess Owens retweeted him. Love having race issues whitesplained. It's amazing how much less I understand about racism than liberal white reporters. Burgess Owens grew up in the Jim Crow South, so...
before becoming a professional athlete.
Yeah. See, Monson compared Owens' statement to that of barroom banter from someone who's knocked back a fistful of buds, talking sports with his buddies. I don't think Burgess drinks.
I don't think he does either, actually.
If I remember his moral background correctly. Monson, and that's one thing that's also, for some reason, irks me a bit, is his last name and who he's probably related to.
All right.
Monson went on to argue that the fact that they don't stand for the anthem, as mentioned, has nothing to do with not loving our nation, except it is. Colin Kaepernick said specifically that's why. But rather, it has to do with looking at what's true in our nation.
I know what's true in our nation.
And it's not you.
It is not you.
Rather, it has to do with what's been true for a long, long time, a major fault that needs fixing, and wanting to draw attention to it. The fault that's been fixed with a civil war and with Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And
so here's my
up
issue.
Until Obama.
Here's my issue with what they're trying to do. You cannot legislate people into being good people.
Nope.
You just can't. So, yes, there are racists that exist in the world. It's an unfortunate fact. There are racists that exist in the world. That does not mean that everyone is racist or that the whole system is racist against you or anything like that. It simply means that there are people that are racist, that do racist things, and it can cause issues for people. If you look at our current laws state you cannot be prejudiced against somebody for their race. What other law are you wanting them to make? That cops can't arrest black people because they're black? That then swings it the other direction, and you have now created a racist law.
Congratulations, you went from being racist to being racist.
Right. So the real thing that you need to fight is ignorance. You need to find a way to get into your community and to get people to see that you're a person, that you have feelings and thoughts and, these different things. Because the anti-racism is not pounding these things down people's throats with books and legislation and brainwashing children in schools and this bullshit. The real anti-racism is getting to know somebody of other races.
Right. Very true.
And finding common ground, finding things to stand for with them. It's the same thing. Like take race out of it. If everybody was the same color, we would still have people that hated other people for whatever reason, and it would be hair color instead of skin color. It would be eye color instead. Oh, wait.
Well, gingers have no soul, so I mean,
like pick an attribute. Somebody has found a way to make it a hated thing, and it's stupid. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time, and in all honesty, the reason why it's so mainstream in a lot of ways is because it is a tool that is used to divide people. Prove me wrong.
Back with I can't, because we already talked about this in so That's Why Marxism?
Probably.
Or one of the Marxism ones from last year.
Yeah, because that was Marx's theory.
That was Marx's theory, and it was in the communist playbook on the steps to take over the United States, was to instill racism into the United States.
Yeah.
To make people think that everything is racist. Everything is racist.
Everything is fun when you're part of a cult. Everything is racist. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
I hate it. And the thing that bugs me the most about it is I have friends that are other races. I have Asian friends. I have black friends. I have friends that are Hispanic. I have all kinds of friends of different races.
That's what every white supremacist says before they're about to say something super racist.
And it bothers me because I have seen the way that a lot of them are treated by people who are actually racist. And I feel like a lot of this kind of bullshit takes away from the real struggle. That's why it frustrates me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not fixing the problem, you're creating different problems.
Yes.
You're buying trouble.
Barack Obama Jr. was born.
You know, that's what frustrates me about it, is because this kind of thing doesn't solve anything. It doesn't do anything but antagonize people against you. You know, you don't win somebody over to your side by insulting them, insulting something that they care about.
Right.
And misconstruing something that has by far and away provided more equal opportunity across races, across genders, across nations than anything else that's ever existed. Sorry. Soapbox is done.
Soapbox is done.
It broke.
It broke.
Did I rant long enough for you to find whatever it was that you were looking for?
Fortunately,
do I need to start pushing buttons?
No.
I can find buttons. They're magical.
I mean, yeah, you can push buttons. That's what we do all the time on this thing, is push buttons.
Oh, yeah. It's all coming together.
I don't think there is... Well, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but... Oh. This is worth noting because, again, we were on the ball. I am going to toot our horn as much as possible when things happen because the end of December, we did a 2-part episode, Piss Off, Part 1 and Part 2. In which...
Good episodes.
Yes, where we actually do a lot of in-depth research on a subject. Which we might do another one here soon because I'm getting to that point again. But to toot our horn a bit, we talked about how there's all these studies showing that there's increases in mental health issues. And the CDC finally did a study that shows there's a lot of increases in mental health issues because of all these things happening with coronavirus.
Who are you who are so wise in the ways of science? I'm Arthur.
More than one kind of swallow.
Yes.
But yeah, so...
No, really, though. That was... I mean, this is the thing I don't get about it. Like, we're not doing anything that a normal person can't do. I mean, we're reading news articles.
I see an article, I'm like, that's weird. I wonder what else is associated with that.
We're looking at data.
Look, here's all this stuff.
Going to websites and pulling studies and things, and we're beating mainstream and even alternate news sources by weeks.
We get paid
nothing
for this show. In fact, Mike is losing money day after day on this show.
Yes. Because I'm not the talent. I'm the money.
I am losing time.
The money is running out.
I am losing time and sleep day after day because of this show. Because I'm
getting the better deal.
Okay. But because we think what we're doing actually means something. And I say that because, like Mike said, we're ahead of the curve on the CDC on this information. They have unlimited funds because they are the government to do this kind of research. And turns out when you can't let people socialize, they kind of turn unhuman and don't like themselves. No Duh, Sherlock. But in their study...
That's not the correct word. It doesn't rhyme.
Huh?
It's no shit, Sherlock. That doesn't rhyme either, but it sounds better.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But in this study, let's see. I'm pulling this summary from the Washington Examiner. I've come to really like the Washington Examiner.
The Wex.
The Wex. Is it the Wex or the Wax?
The Wax?
The
Waxaminer.
Waxaminer. I like Waxaminer.
Waxaminer.
But in this summary here, and they have links to the surveys that and study.
That didn't feel good.
It sounded like it, didn't it? Sounded like you hit your funny bone on your knee.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Don't mind me. I'm just going to sit over here and cry for a second. Mute it so you don't hear the tears.
Children and young adults are experiencing increased mental health issues, and suicide also is on the rise within the age group, at least in part because of ongoing state shutdowns, according to several reports. Within months of governors and local authorities shuttering schools, children were increasingly brought to emergency room doctors and specialists, according to a oh, that's terrible, whoever edited this. According to a survey by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention.
According to an August 2020. Oh, no. Is that the one you're reading?
Right here. According
to a by the Centers of...
Yep, there's a word
Wow.
missing there. I need a red arrow.
According to a survey by the Centers of Disease Control,
That's
or
my
a
guess.
study, or insert word here that was missed.
Noun missing.
Come on, Examiner.
Beginning in April 2020, the proportion of children's mental health related emergency, I forget what D is, ED visits.
Erectile dysfunction.
Among all pediatric ED visits. That's terrible now. We ruin every story we read.
That makes it so bad.
Increased and remained elevated through October. The report states, compared with 2019, the proportion of mental health related visits for children aged 5 through 11 and 12 to 17 years increased approximately 24 and 31% respectively.
Hey, isn't that the exact study that we were quoting?
What?
just saying.
Yeah. Kids that are
Sounds really familiar.
Kids that are 5 to 11 years old should not see an 24% increase in mental health issues. Ideally, they'd have 0.
You want to know what I want to know? What the increase has been in the last 15 years.
Right.
Because like literally, like I've heard stories of kids in school now that are completely disconnected with what death and stuff are.
Right.
Like I heard a story once about a kid who was, I can't remember if he was caught trying to commit suicide or what, and when he was asked about it. But anyway, they stopped him from committing suicide. When they asked him about it, he was like, well, my girlfriend broke up. And we're talking about like 2nd, 3rd grade, if I remember correctly. Like little kid.
Elementary.
Yeah, elementary school kid. And when they caught him and stopped him, they were like, what were you thinking? What were you doing? What was going on? And he said, well, my girlfriend broke up with me, so I was going to commit suicide today so that she'd get back together with me next week. That's not how that. No.
Respawn is only in video games, not.
No.
Yeah.
Negative, sir.
And in the piss off episode, I shared a story of a poor little kid that was trying to figure out how to commit suicide. That was probably 4 years old, 5 years old, also. But yeah, I wouldn't. So, to your point, I would not be surprised if there's been an increase in the last. When was the gay marriage thing done in the Supreme Court? 2010?
want to say 2009 because I feel like I was still on my mission at that time.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it started
Could have been
increasing around
2010.
then, because from about that point on, it started getting real confusing on what a boy is supposed to be, what a girl's supposed to be, what a man's supposed to be, what a woman's supposed to be, and it's only gotten worse since then.
The family has disintegrated in the last 30, 40 years.
And coincidentally, before that Supreme Court thing happened, there was a certain religious leaders that wrote a document about how important the family is and declared it to the world. Mm-hmm. But coincidence.
But, whatever. Speaking, not speaking of that, but speaking of children and whatever. So I have a correction we need to make from last week.
Oh,
so we did that teacher survey thing. So that wasn't a survey that was given, and I guess it's more of a clarification. That wasn't a survey that was given to all teachers. That was a specific course that has that survey. That it's a class for teachers.
So an optional type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's still terrible.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't make it less terrible. Because that only means that something like that is also occurring elsewhere.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But anyways, according to an August 2020 CDC survey, the state shutdowns negatively impacted the mental and emotional health of the youngest people who participated. Those under age 18 experienced the highest rates of anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues, with 75% saying they were struggling with at least one mental health issue. 75%. By November, the CDC reported on emergency room visits of youth under age 18, while the number of overall emergency room visits fell because for many months, hospitals were required by governors to shutter services to non-COVID patients. It's not higher than last year. Yeah, because hospitals were closed. CDC reports what happens in hospitals. The number of mental health related visits increased. Still, data from the CDC's National Syndromic Surveillance Program from January 1st to October 17th, compared to the same months in 2019, found a 31% increase in mental health issues reported among adolescents between 12 and 17 years old. It goes on and on and on. A 14-year-old boy killed himself in Maryland because he had given up when his school district remained closed last fall, the New York Times reported, citing other suicide examples. Illinois treatments of high school athlete who committed suicide blamed Governor J.B. Pritzker for the state's lockdown and a ban on many high school sports. Yeah, it carries on. It's a huge study, lots of information in it, all of it damning to any medical professional who continues to push lockdowns and social distancing and any other garbage lie, because for anyone that's under the age, 80? It's the typical flu for coronavirus. It's comparable to the flu with infection and death rates. And children is basically zero with deaths. So, and I say all that because I bring that up because I want to toot our horn naturally, but also all you say today we're offending the principled conservatives who voted for Biden because Trump was mean, or voted for someone else because Trump was mean, allowing Biden to win. Let's see. They care about the children so much that the White House decides we're not going to get the schools open in the first 100 days like we promised we would. And somewhere in here, we got a story where Democrats blocked a bill that would expedite vaccine distribution to teachers so schools could be open sooner. So, good thing we got those principled conservatives getting all those mean Trumpy people out of office. Found it. The Energy and Commerce. Proposed dedicated funding to vaccinate more teachers. Representative Rich Hudson proposed dedicated funding to vaccinate more teachers so we can get children back to school. How many Democrats voted for it? 0. So the bill did not leave the Energy and Commerce thing because it did not pass to go to the House for vote. Yeah. The majority also blocked Steve Scalise's amendment for a plan to distribute 2 million vaccines to people a day. To distribute 2 million vaccines to people a day in the administration's first 100 days. To crush the virus, we need to be bold. If we don't set this ambitious life-saving goal today and fund it, when will we? Yeah, we can't get 2 million a day. Can't be getting 2 million vaccinated a day. Yeah. The majority said no to Rep. Dan Crenshaw's solution for more transparency on how vaccines are allocated.
Well, I mean, they're basically starting from scratch, according to Kamala. So, I mean, I'm sure once they actually get a foundation going, they can...
Yeah. Rather than write this bill in secret, the majority could have worked with us on bipartisan solutions like prioritizing funding for the NIH, especially to study long-term impacts of COVID. Unfortunately, every ENC Democrat voted down our amendment and denied this NIH funding. I've made it clear to Kathy McMorris, I made it clear to Chair Pallone that we want to work with the majority on more targeted relief. He told me he had every expectation Energy and Commerce would continue its strong bipartisan tradition. I'm disappointed this is not the case today. So there you go. Democrats doing what Democrats do and doing their own thing after you've put them in power. And Republicans doing what they do best and being spineless. Except for, well, actually, I take that back. They can be bold and brave now because they have the minority.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
this is egregious. We should stop it. Should have stopped it, I don't know, last 4 years.
I actually think I have a recording of the Democrat or of the Republicans standing up in Congress. Yeah, here. This is play.
Stop! Don't come back.
Yep, that was it.
Yep. All right. All right. That's all the stories I feel like covering.
Okay.
But a thought that I had, I kept listening, unfortunately, to Biden and Harris and others. Romney. They keep saying things like, we just need to trust the science. Just need to trust science. Trust the science. Trust the science.
Because I only believe in science.
Mm-hmm. And I thought it was interesting. So this, if you don't like us when we do religious talk, this is where it starts.
Yes.
So
there's the door. See you next week.
So pause, whatever. It's great to have you, or stick around and disagree with us. That's cool too.
Yeah, whatever you like.
Trust science. Trust the science. Trust the science. The Democrat Party back in 2008, 9. I don't know. They voted not once, not twice, but 3 times to exclude God from their party platform. Where have I seen that before? Deny God 3 times.
Well, I mean, it's in multiple places.
Yeah. Something about a rooster and crowing.
I actually think there's a thing in the Communist Manifesto about replacing religion with...
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, huh. Isn't that
Replace
interesting?
religion with a party. Yeah.
And you have Biden. I don't think I have the story, but he said something about China is beating our butt economically. That sounds almost
fairly close
exactly
to what
like
he said. Mhm.
That sounds almost exactly like what the previous president said. The only difference
Eating
being,
our lunch, I believe, is what he said. Something like that.
yeah. The difference being the previous president blocked a lot of what China was trying to do through sanctions and tariffs and whatever that I mostly don't agree with, but for some reason they were working. So,
Yeah. As opposed to this president who's blocking measures to try to block them from. Wait.
yeah. So there's that. It's only the Chinese Communist Party that is leading China. And you have Democrats who are avowed socialists and democratic socialists, which means they chose to be socialist. They weren't forced to be socialist. They chose to be socialist because that's better. But yeah, trust science. Removing God from the platform. Condemning anyone that dare say hopes and prayers, thoughts and prayers for people affected by this, that, or the other, unless it's something that affects a certain group that they rely on for votes, then it's okay to say thoughts. Sometimes they say prayers, depends on the group that's been affected. And then you have, Donald Trump is basically Satan for trying to unite the country together after a church burns down and he holds up a Bible awkwardly in front of the church and says something to try to unite everyone together in the middle of riots across the country. And then the Democrats turn around and do a big photo op wearing shawls that belong to an African tribe that enslaved other Africans.
And sold them to people.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys, read the crowd. Jeez.
And we watch.
Do some research.
And then you got to get rid of the national anthem because, in the third stanza that has something about slavery in it. And it also says God in there, so you can't have that.
Numerous times. So
can't have
that.
Can't have "In God We Trust" on our money. But they're okay with. They got real upset though when you attack the Capitol building that has umpteen references to God inside and on and around the Capitol building that they walk in and out of every day, and talk about how it's sacred hollow ground. But then they turn around and tell any conservative Christian
because the state is their religion.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm getting at is trust the science. They have created their own God. And
yeah. And made it speak in absolutes. That's the fun thing.
The science is settled.
By definition, most science never gets really settled.
Except for, there's Einstein's theory of relativity, which for a while has basically been considered settled science until someone smarter than Einstein came around and looked at that theory and said, well, this is accurate up until this point, and then it doesn't work anymore.
Oh, and I wouldn't even say necessarily smarter, but I mean, you get different resources as science progresses, and you have new information, and with that new information, you come up with new theories. I mean, one of the oldest scientific theories in existence is, well, I mean, probably not one of the oldest, but one of the like very foundations of physics is gravity. Gravity is still a theory.
Yeah.
Because there's ways to measure it. There's ways to do different things with it, but there's no way to definitively prove its existence.
Yeah, because
as described, basically.
Because the theory of gravity says that the more mass you have, the more you can attract to yourself, which is why I put on as much weight as possible to attract as many girls as possible when I was younger. Didn't work very well.
That's
flawed science.
That's flawed science. It's not the version of attract that they were.
It's different.
That was a misunderstanding.
I realize that now. I figured that out.
Who are you who are so wise in the ways of science?
Yeah, I figured that out before I met with my wife, and
that's
now it's fine.
But makes it better.
But no. So gravity tells you that the more mass you have, the more you stick to heavier mass. But physics says that when something spins, it creates centrifugal force that pushes things away. So you have Earth that's spinning really fast. Not really, but it's spinning. But somehow we're stuck to it. Well, the laws of gravity says that Earth has such a mass that it's not spinning fast enough to actually yeet you into space. Okay. But then I believe we talked about it a couple weeks ago, earlier. There's that weird rock thing that went around the sun and it didn't move like it was supposed to move, which implies that alien life actually exists, or
that there's a law of physics that we don't understand.
Physics that we don't understand. So, science is never settled, and the age-old thing of eggs are bad, eggs are good, depending on which decade you're in, should also be a proven point to you. And last year, we watched Fauci and many others do this because science, do that because science, go back to doing this because science. Actually, we're wrong. Go back and do this because of science. Actually, this is the science. Actually, this is science. And now everyone's angry. But they replaced, they made their own God, so to speak. Because something that humanity needs is something higher than them to dictate to them how to live their lives, which is why you get terrible people like Hitler and others who become dictators to tell starving people what they need to do to live their lives. Not necessarily starving because they need bread, but starving because they are missing something spiritually, mentally, to fill some sort of void that is not filled with earthly means. And so if you get rid of what we've talked about multiple times with the founders, nature's God, the principles of nature's God, if you get rid of that, all of a sudden you're left with people that are directionless. Mm-hmm. They don't have moral standing. And those that continue to stand by that morals, well, now they're extremists because they dare say you can think for yourself. So let's cancel them from a very popular TV show from a company that made Mickey Mouse. And prove their point in so doing.
Yeah.
So doing that, you become lost. You have no morals because you start doing this double standard thing.
But atheists can have morals. There's such a thing as a moral atheist.
Is it Penn Jillette is probably one of the most famous atheists, mm-hmm. And he even says the 10 Commandments are 6 or 7 good examples to live by, good rules to live by. At least 6 or 7 good examples to live by.
Well, and that's just the thing is without a higher power to believe in, yes, you can have morals, but where do your morals come from?
Yes.
Is the thing. Either there is a higher power that we answer to, or your morals are an arbitrary set of rules that don't really matter. In which case, if there is no God, if there is no higher power for us to answer to, then what really made Hitler wrong?
Yeah.
What is it that really makes it? Is it the fact that he lost the war? What if he'd have won the war? Then he'd be right? No, because what he did was morally wrong.
Yeah.
But why is it morally wrong? Because there is a higher power that we answer to that has handed down to us a set of ideals to live our lives by. And it's important. And it is important to understand where that comes from. Because when you have that compass, then the ideals of the Constitution make better sense. And it makes a better impact in your life. Because if there's a higher power that sets our moral compass, there's a higher power that gives us these freedoms, that instills in us these freedoms at our birth, at which point the only thing that can take them away from us is our choice to give them up.
Yeah. And I probably remember this because we were looking at movie quotes and stuff to add to our sound box. But Jurassic Park actually demonstrates this perfectly with the character Dr. Ian Malcolm talking about
chaos theory.
Yeah, just talking about stuff. Because when they finally see the dinosaurs, Ian Malcolm sitting there being the person, the character that he is, he starts thinking, God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs. So what happens next?
Dinosaurs eat man.
Dinosaurs destroy everything that man made.
Women rule the earth.
Yeah. That's chaos.
It's chaos theory.
But no, there is a point there. Progressives, it's not just Democrats, it's progressives. Progressing forward towards what?
A better society. Blah, blah, blah.
On what basis? What is their foundation for progressing towards this? Meh. is the answer. Meh.
Well,
and
it's Satan's plan. If we're going to get religious,
might as well get religious.
Might as well get religious. Because this was the plan from the beginning. This is the war in heaven. I think we might have covered this once before.
At least
once before. 2 plans, always been 2 plans. One plan is you are free. You come down, you make your decisions, and you are judged accordingly. The other plan was nobody makes decisions. We all come down. We all live mediocre, meaningless lives, but we are all the same. And we all return and kumbaya. Well, the second plan was rejected because freedom is that important.
Yep. Not only was it rejected, everyone was told it was going to be rejected, and 1/3 still joined the rejected plan.
And more join every year. Oh,
you're not
wrong. Was that a bridge too far?
It was a bridge. Whether or not it's too far, we'll find out.
We'll find out. I'll be judged accordingly, and I'm all right with that.
Okay. So progressives are actively trying to remove any semblance of God, any semblance of a higher power away from government so that government can now be in charge. And government was created by man. It says so in the documents that they're trying to discredit. And by so doing, they're going to create their own destruction. Just like Jurassic Park, they're going to create their own destruction.
You know, the thing that slays me about the idea of big government is people are not intelligent enough to take care of themselves and rule their own lives. So we should put a handful of people that aren't intelligent enough to take care of themselves and rule their own lives in charge of everybody.
Something about the blind leading the blind.
How does that make any sense whatsoever?
Oh, you're blind? Here, follow this blind man. He'll show you where to go. So, for a while, a song has been stuck in my head, and Glenn Beck, unfortunately, beat me to this one. But, in a way, it's good because I couldn't figure out why this song was stuck in my head all the time, and I knew there was something there I needed to know. Sound of Silence.
Such a good song.
Originally by Simon and Garfunkel. It's a terrible version, in my opinion. The best version is Disturbed. Because it just...
Amen to that.
Just reaches in for those emotions and rips them right out of your heart.
It really does. Dude, he did such a good job on that remake.
I know.
Just have you seen the YouTube video of the voice teacher?
Yes.
Watching him do that?
Just the shock on his face.
It's just like through the whole song. Just like
yeah. He reaches This is Disturbed. For those that don't know Disturbed, they do not sing things like Simon and Garfunkel.
No.
They're grungy-esque.
Yeah, grunge is a word.
They get into that kind of... Some of the older generations might call it near satanic.
Yeah.
music.
But David Draymond is one of the most phenomenal vocalists
I
have ever seen.
He can hit some highs and he can hit some lows. And swing back and forth, no problem. But anyways.
And the things he can do in the middle.
Anyways. So in the lyrics on their surface don't make sense until you start thinking it like we've been describing here. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. He's alone. Loneliness, darkness. That's the... When you are depressed, when you have lost all feeling, you are in a dark place. You are by yourself. You're all alone. I've come to talk with you again because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. So there's this thought just stirring in your head. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains. Still there. I can't get it out of my head. I can't get this thought, this vision out of my head. Within the sound of silence. In restless dreams, I walked alone. Still alone. Narrow streets of cobblestone. 'Neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp. He still feels like he's all alone, walking down the street in the darkness. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night. So all of a sudden, this thing just right in front of him. And touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. So he wasn't alone, turns out. He thought he was alone, but he's not alone. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs that voices never shared. How many times do you get on Facebook and do your little Facebook rant and you get a comment or two or a like or two, and then you turn around and some girl posted something about her cat and she's got 50 comments and 500 likes and all that stuff. How many times are you in a debate with someone? Are you in a conversation with someone and you say something that is heartfelt to you and they don't address it? No one dared disturb the sound of silence. Said Dietrich Bonhoeffer. The silence in the voice of evil is itself evil. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. I don't want to say anything on the social medias because I don't want to cause trouble. I don't want to I know what they said
It's
is
the only reason I say anything on the social
right?
medias.
So I don't want to call them out for lying, even though I know that is absolutely a bald-faced lie, because I don't want to stir the pot. This is why we're where we're at, because we are too afraid to be just a little bit abrasive. Just a little bit of abrasion is okay, because it makes people question. So, well, this is what I know. Okay, well, here's this. Well, I never seen that before. Where did you find that? I found it here. Oh, what else is about that? Ta-da! Enlightenment. Fools, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Wow. The more you say nothing, the more nothing gets said. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. Now, to me, this spoke to me a little bit like Christ or like God, however you want to identify. Because in the scriptures, how often have I gathered you as a chicken gathered her hens? How often have I done this? How often? But my words like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells of silence. How many times are we reached out to with things that point to some sort of higher power, to God, to whatever, and we ignore it because if we do that, then it'd be a little abrasive. It goes against what I'm comfortable with right now. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. So all these people, this sign that stabbed his eyes, this bright light that stabbed his eyes, he's finally able to see what this sign said. And all these thousands of people there, they see this sign, and they made this sign. They made this sign their God. And the sign said, the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls. Now, until Glenn Beck, this is where I got stuck every time with this song. I had no idea what this meant. But then with Glenn Beck and his researching ways and money to actually do research, he pointed out, and also my experience with the subway is a couple of times in New York City. So I don't really know a whole lot about subways other than I hate them.
My experience in the subway was that one time in London.
And it was lovely, wasn't it?
I don't know. It was dark. I was trying not to be there anymore.
So in subways, at least they still do. They still have this in the subways. The words of the prophets are written on the subway walls. In the subways, there's all these ads for buy this, buy that, commerce this, all this stuff. And that's the sign that these people were looking at. They made this sign their God. And their God was saying, pay attention to things. Buy things. Do things with money. It's fun. And whispered in the sounds of silence.
Also, you skipped the tenement halls there.
Oh, I said tenement halls.
No, you said it, but you didn't.
Oh, I didn't
talk about what
it
it
was.
was.
I didn't relate on it.
Yeah. Tenement halls are housing complexes.
Yes.
The halls in between dorm rooms and things like that. Like essentially a tenement is
in condensed housing.
Massive condensed housing dorm room, and the halls are the in between, which if you've ever been to a dorm room, those halls are usually littered with cork boards and whatever with different things on them. Mm-hmm.
Go to this club, join this, pay for this, buy this, la la la, take this to find my dog. But all of that just reverberates more so into the sound of silence. One of the one great thing with writing is writing things that don't make sense, directly translating English language, but actually have deep meaning behind them, like such as the deafening silence. Silence itself isn't deafening. A jet flying by is very deafening, but deafening silence, that tells you that it was so quiet you could hear nothing. I forget what that's called in writing because I'm not a writer.
Silence.
Thank you, writer. Our resident writer, ladies and gentlemen.
That was rude. to me or writers, I'm not sure which.
Yes. And thinking about that, I was listening to some scriptures on my way to work in 4-wheel drive in the snow extremely slowly. And this came across my scripture listening from the Book of the Mormons. And for those that aren't Mormon, just listen to the principles, blah, 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 like we've said before. This is one of the prophets talking about how America will be a land of liberty and things like that. I just lost it because I scrolled. Sorry, I'm finding it. We're finding it.
Mm-hmm. Sure you are.
Uh-huh.
Any minute.
Okay. It's 2 Nephi 10:10 if you're following along. He says, but behold, this land, said God, shall be a land of thine inheritance, and the Gentiles shall be blessed upon the land. Gentiles, scripturally, are non-Jews, non-Jewish. And this land shall be a land of liberty unto the Gentiles, and there shall be no kings upon the land who shall raise up unto the Gentiles. And I will fortify this land against all other nations. And he that fighteth against Zion shall perish, saith God. For he that raiseth up a king against me shall perish. For I, the Lord, the King of heaven, will be their king, and I will be a light unto them forever that hear my words. Wherefore, for this cause, that my covenants may be fulfilled, which I have made unto the children of men, that I will do unto them while they are in the flesh, I must needs destroy the secret works of darkness and murders and of abominations. Wherefore, he that fighteth against Zion, both Jew and Gentile, both bond and free, both male and female, shall perish. For they who are the horror of all the earth. For they who are not for me are against me, saith our God. For I will fulfill my promises which I have made unto the children of men, that I will do unto them while they are in the flesh. So I'm not saying Biden is a king. Just get that out of the way. Neither was Trump. Biden's working really hard to do things like a king would do. He's even, one of our stories we didn't cover, he's talking about going after the Second Amendment with executive order, because that's awesome. Anyway, this is something that kind of calmed my thoughts and heart a little bit, because Abraham Lincoln made a covenant with God. George Washington and the founders made a covenant with God. And looking at history, when that covenant was made is when the tide of war was changed. Both times. Today, that covenant has been lost, at least to us. God's still sitting there. You know, I'm gonna fulfill this. You just need to uphold your end. That's it. This will be fulfilled if you hold up your end. I haven't given up on you. You've given up on yourself. And he says, here it is. For he that raises up a king against me shall perish. For I, the Lord, the King of heaven, will be their king, and I will be a light unto them forever in my words. I don't want to. There we go. Yeah, if you are raising up something above God, above some type of morals outside of government, outside of man, you're going to fall. That's what happens with communism every time. That's what happens with dictators every time. They prop themselves up above everything else, and eventually they fall. And he even says, I must needs destroy the secret works of darkness and of murders and of abominations. Time magazine, we covered it last week because, holy crap, showed us the secret works of darkness in the background to fortify, their words, the election. A secret cabal, their words, to fortify the election. Cabal isn't necessarily a good word. Not the best of words. A conspiratorial group of plotters or intriguers. A secret scheme or plot. That's what you want in a fair...
That is the kind of thing that you want protecting your election.
Yeah, in a fair
like to me.
and open, honest election. You want secret things going on in an honest election. Their words, not ours. Actually, it is our words because we covered that extensively leading up to that point, which is why YouTube deleted our video talking about it, only to have the next day Time release this article, so we re-uploaded that video, and it is still up on YouTube because Time magazine said that's what happened. But again, we're just a couple of guys that don't get paid to do this.
Right.
We have decided that the sound of silence is bad. We have decided that we can't sit quietly and throw a comment here and there on Facebook anymore. We need to do a podcast and reach out to as many people as we can and hopefully make a difference somewhere for some people. And I like to think that we do because that makes me feel good. But yeah, I think that's all I got.
That's good. I have another song.
Uh-oh.
This is one that it's a little bit newer than at least the lyrics to the other one are.
Right.
But this one is a really fun band. Most people will know this band by that song Tub Thumper. I get
Chumbawamba?
Yeah, Chumbawamba. I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Yeah, great song.
Yeah,
great.
So this song is one. Most of my friends that know Chumbawamba don't know this song. But this song is called "The Land of Do What You're Told," and it actually has, especially right at the beginning, has a bunch of stuff that you really don't get unless you like really look into it. So I'm gonna do this one for us too. So have a word with your patron saint. Cover up the cracks with a lick of paint. All the exit doors are all double locked because Saint Sebastian sways but doesn't rock. So Saint Sebastian is the saint of the plague.
That's great to have a saint of the plague.
Yeah. Well, he's mostly the saint of protection from the plague.
Oh, okay. All right.
But because the story goes that he was a captain, I believe, and was a martyr. He was a Christian and was put to death by firing squad, basically. They shot him full of arrows and he didn't die. And then he... was eventually martyred, but they tied that together with Apollo, who was known for shooting people with arrows laced with the plague. No idea what their actual connection there is, but that's kind of the history of it. So Saint Sebastian's the saint of the plague. So here's to you. You put up a fight. You're the last to leave. Now turn out the light. You danced to the devil and the feathery wife. Now the ordnance survey is mapping out your life. So this is where the song starts getting, like, it has this really, really deep part right here. So the devil and the feathery wife is an old, older folklore like rhyme, and it tells the story of a man who made a deal with the devil for his soul.
And a fiddle of gold?
No.
Oh.
No. But in the devil, or in the deal with the devil, it had something to do with his wife. I can't remember exactly. It's a really, really long poem. And it's kind of hard to understand in some places, but if you go look it up, The Devil and the Feathery Wife, and it tells the story of him making this deal with the devil, and at the end of the deal, he has to bring a beast to the devil, and if the devil guesses which beast it is, then he'll own his soul, basically. So... And the whole point of the poem is that the game is always rigged.
Right.
It's you pick your poison, basically. So then you've made this deal with the devil. Now the ordnance survey is mapping out your life, and it's talking about I can't remember exactly what the ordnance survey is, but it's basically stating that you have no control anymore. So
regulations, basically.
Yeah. So look at the small print. It's what we agreed. Sign your name before we teach you how to read. This is the land of do what you're told, the land of the free if you don't leave the fold. Smile a little wider as you're waiting to be sold. This is the land of do what you're told.
That's not dark at all.
Right? I don't think I really have to explain much of that one. But it's the first two lines of the chorus that always kind of snag my attention. Is you look at the small print, it's what we agreed. Sign your name before we teach you how to read. And how often does that happen with our government? I mean,
you just let me get into Facebook, dang it. Accept.
We have to sign it before we know what's in it.
We have to pass the bill.
We have to pass the bill to see what's in it. You know, and I mean, how many times have you just, okay, I accept the EULA and never even read it? We sign our names to stuff all the time, having no idea what it is that we are doing.
Right.
And our world has become so legislated. So, I mean, there's a contract for literally everything now. You check the box, you click accept, and you're in a contract. It's the way it works. It's that simple. You know,
you go incognito and use a VPN, and they get mad.
Yeah. So then he goes on, I'm a celebrity, let me in here. One last jump from the end of the pier. We breached the wall, but I was too tired to run. My get up and go, up and now it's gone. Look at the small print. It's what we agreed. Sign your name before we teach you how to read. This is the land of do what you're told, the land of the free if you don't leave the fold. Smile a little wider as you're waiting to be sold. This is the land of do what you're told. And then at the end of the song, because he repeats the chorus again after that, we're going on strike for 12%. We're not downhearted yet. They're filming it all for a reality show, so 12% we'll get. And so this song is, it's always been interesting to me because I've always felt like it says a lot more than I think they meant it to. You know, I mean, you start out at the beginning and is talking about a plague and making deals with the devil and stuff like that. And I'm sure it had a lot to do with their deals that they made with their record company and different things like that. But it applies to a plague and a cancer that has really soaked into our world, not just our country, but our world.
Yep.
It's everywhere. This idea that we're not in control of our own lives, that there's somebody else that can make decisions better than we can ourselves. And that we're selling ourselves, we're selling our information, we're selling who we are. I mean, Facebook talks about you are the product. They say it. It's in their slogan. Yeah. You are the product. We are selling ourselves every day in all of our social media, in all of our interactions with other people, in our jobs, all these different things. And are we deciding that, or are we being conned into it?
Are we staying silent?
Yes. And are we getting a deal out? Are we getting a good deal out of it? Are we getting recompense for it? You know, here, the last line, we're going on strike for 12%. 12% is nothing.
Nothing.
That is nothing. So what are you getting out of it? Are you selling your soul for nothing? Are you giving yourself away for nothing? Are you giving up your rights for nothing?
We have socialized healthcare now. You're getting taxed 30%, but you have free healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'll take 70%. Well, there's also income tax that we got to take and this and that and the other, so you're actually walking home with 40%. Hey, I at least got 40%, and I have free healthcare. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. And the sooner you wake up to that bright light that's flashing and realizing that it's not God that's influencing millions and billions of people, the sooner you can get around to actually figuring out who you are and what you stand for. The musical Hamilton, it's got that song with Burr where he's talking about talk less, smile more. That way people will never know what you're against or what you're for.
What you're against or what you're for, yeah.
There's a reason why Aaron Burr never got higher than he was politically. Because he stood for nothing.
And if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything.
Yep. Hamilton decided to not take that advice, and he rose in the ranks of the founding fathers. I don't agree with everything Hamilton did, but I at least know what he stood for. Aaron Burr, I couldn't really tell you much about him.
Yeah, it's much more than we can say about the majority of the politicians we have nowadays.
Yeah.
I would take an entire Congress full of Hamiltons over what we currently have.
Exactly. And this is the reason why I have respect for Bernie Sanders, because he just comes out and says it. I'm a Democratic socialist. I believe we should have government-run socialized healthcare, and I believe we should have government-mandated minimum wage and all these other socialist things because I'm socialist. All right, I know who you are. I disagree with basically everything you say, but I know
lost a little bit of respect for him when he just kind of caved to the establishment, though.
There's that.
But still.
But yeah, at least on his moral basis, you know where he stands. Someone like Ocasio-Cortez, I know where she stands, but she never says it, which means I can rarely trust anything she says.
I know where she stands, but I'm not entirely convinced that she knows where she stands.
Yes. Nancy Pelosi is in the same boat. I know where she stands.
At the gates of hell. With a pitchfork.
Behind the gates of hell. She's already...
Well, I didn't say which side of the gates of hell. I just said at the gates of hell.
The Lich Queen. But she will dance around all kinds of... We made a montage video of her dancing around COVID relief. Trying to say it's the president's fault, this fault, that fault, whatever. And then finally admitting, yeah, it was a political game.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to see a performance as good as her dancing on Dancing with the Stars. She was dancing that well. All over.
All over that dance floor. All over the rotunda.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And someone like Mitt Romney, what he claims to be his personal beliefs, I would think I know where he stands. But I don't trust him because he goes against what I think he says that he believes. A lot.
A lot.
And he flip-flops with whatever seems to be convenient for him to win the next election. There, I called out both parties. And there's more Republican. Mitch McConnell.
I was going to say, if you can count Mitt Romney as...
Yeah.
I mean, McConnell, Graham.
Yeah, they have spines now because they're in the minority.
Is it Swalwell? Starts with an S.
Yeah.
Is the other one?
The slept with Fang Fang?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, our hooker for Chinese spies.
And then on the flip side, there's someone like Rand Paul. I know exactly where he's going to be pretty much every time.
And Mike Lee.
Every
time. I know exactly where he's going to be.
Pretty much 100% of the time, I know where he's going to be, and I understand it. And I agree with it most of the time.
There are times I disagree with Mike Lee. Happens.
Yep.
But I always know exactly where his point of view came from.
Yep.
Because he's very clear about what he believes.
So there we go. We praise a Democrat, we praise a Republican, and we hate both Democrats and Republicans. So there's your neutral take on things.
Well, did we praise a Democrat?
Bernie.
Yes. I was going to say, if we still need to praise a Democrat, Tulsi Gabbard's a good one, too.
I'm starting to think that she's not.
Really?
Not
a Democrat.
She just hasn't figured it out yet.
Well, either way.
But yeah.
She's currently registered as a Democrat.
Yeah. But
she definitely is. I've heard some of her policy views. I don't agree with a lot of them, but
for the most part,
as an individual, I know where she stands. I respect where she stands, and I understand it.
Yep. And it all comes down to principles. You know where their principles are. You know if they have God-fearing principles or man-fearing principles.
And I find that the politicians that I actually tend to like and tend to be able to easily say, okay, yeah, they have, whatever things that I can respect, tend to be the ones that have viewpoints, even if their viewpoints differ from me, that stem from, I love this country and I want to make it better.
Yep.
And Bernie, as much as I disagree with almost every word that comes out of his mouth, I can almost say that about him.
Almost.
Other than the fact that he doesn't practice what he preaches. A lot of times.
Yeah. I mean, he does believe that government is better than private sector and that he doesn't give private donations to
Yes.
charities.
Well, I mean,
so.
he believes that government is better than private sector, and the fact that government has made him far more money than any private sector ever did.
Nobody bought his album. As I went walking.
I mean, I saw the cover though with those mittens and the you know, that was on point.
Solid. Yeah, it's credibility is built with consistency, not with the message being delivered. I liked a lot of the message that Donald Trump had as president, but he did have his inconsistencies with that message. However, the media had way more inconsistencies. Still does, than Donald Trump did, which made me think more so that Donald Trump was more credible than the media that was banning and getting rid of anyone that talked about hydroxychloroquine until he's gone, and now the CDC says it's okay to use hydroxychloroquine.
I mean, I honestly, my honest feeling about the media, pretty much anytime I watch or read or listen to anything media says is summed up about this.
No, you look like an idiot.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's about it. That's true.
Yeah. That's all. Thanks for listening, guys, especially if you made it through that whole thing. Yeah. Man, I thought we were going to be fast with this one, but we were not.
We were not.
No.
Not fast. Nope, not even a little.
Maybe we'll split it at the religious thing. We'll see.
Who knows? So,
I'm out of beverage, so we have to be done.
Yes, we do. We had an issue with YouTube last week. It didn't, or not YouTube, Facebook. Facebook that didn't post? I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't auto-post.
Something didn't auto-post last week.
I think I fixed it.
So hopefully we got that fixed.
It wasn't Facebook blocking our things, at least that we know of. But I think I fixed it.
That we know of.
We'll find out this week. Again, even so, try not to listen through Facebook because I don't think we're getting credit for that.
Yeah.
There's a chance that we're not getting credit for that.
But we are now on Rumble, Odyssey.
Yes. I failed to upload the videos last week, but probably by the time you hear this, they will be uploaded. As well as this week's video.
Podbean, Podcast, all of the podcast places.
All of the podcast places, all of the emerging social places we're trying to jump onto. Yeah.
Yep, you can find me, at least I have an account on Gab. I still haven't been able to find our Naked Apple one on Gab that you said we had.
You're following it.
I am? That's weird, because I still can't find anything on it. It makes sense.
Also, if you click the link in the description of the video last week, it'll take you straight to the Gab page.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I might have to do that.
Yeah.
So that I can see what we've posted.
Yeah. Which is last week's podcast.
Perfect. Perfect. But anyway, I'm on Gab. You can find me. I don't know if Trevor's moved over to Gab
I'll
yet.
probably find my way on there eventually.
But yeah, Facebook. We don't use Twitter hardly at all. I'm probably just going to delete my Facebook here soon. Tired of it.
Tired of it.
I hate it.
I fought the silence. And the silence
Literally, the
does
only
not
reason
care.
I didn't delete it a month ago is because we still have the Naked Apple page there, so I need to be able to access it. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so find us on those places, like, follow, subscribe,
rate
us, review us, send us comments, send us hate mail.
We won't read it. We won't respond. But we'll love it anyways.
We'll probably read it. If we like it, we might respond. The Podbean, we still haven't been able to respond to comments on that one yet.
I can't log in. It won't let me log in. For,
It won't?
For mobile. No, it won't let me.
I'll have to see.
Here's your personal account. I don't want my personal account. I want to log in using this.
See, I have that problem on Facebook. It won't let me do, like, when I go to the Naked Apple page, it won't let me do anything on, like, my account on our page. Like, it only lets me do it as Naked Apple.
You're responding as the Naked Apple. I don't want to respond as the
Naked Apple. I want to respond as me. Yeah. I don't want to like the Naked Apple's post as the Naked Apple. I want to like the Naked Apple's post as me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Are you ready over there?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm already recording. Are you recording?
I am recording, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I can start it. Would you like me to start it?
If you feel so inclined.
Okay. Well, then let's do this. Bye. Kidding. I choke. I kid.
Kid.
All right, here we go.